What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're taking a look at the Mezco 112 Collective Popeye figure. And I feel like when this figure was first announced, not a lot of people were crazy about it, but once the in-hand pictures started to hit from overseas, I think that's when the hype got really crazy, and those pictures are really what sold me. I thought that it was an interesting looking figure at first, but you know, I wasn't as interested in this as I am in like superhero stuff or random movie things. I thought this was a really bizarre left field choice, and I thought that was cool of Mezco to do that, but it wasn't necessarily something I was crazy about. But once I saw those in-hand overseas pictures, I was sold. It looked like a lot of fun, so as soon as it came out, I jumped on it. But let's get into it here, starting with the box as usual. It is the standard Mezco 112 Collective box. It's huge, it's collector friendly, but it does look nice. I do like the fact that they have the old school cartoon looking Popeye here in the front, even though that's not necessarily what reflects the style of the figure inside, but still does look cool. And then on the side of the box, we have an anchor that looks nice with the white background. And then on the back, of course, we get a look at the figure, we get some promotional shots, and then we get a look at all the awesome accessories that he comes with. And as always, the Mezco boxes are nice. I do wish that they were smaller, blah blah blah. Let's look at the figure. So here's Popeye right out of the box, and my first impression of this figure is that it's really weird, and I say that in a good way. I really like the path that Mezco took here with going with that realistic look for such a cartoonish character. It reminds me of those things that you'll see on Facebook or on social media where it's like, oh, your favorite childhood cartoons if they were in the real world. That's really what this figure feels like to me, and I really dig that. I think that it's very cool, but the execution is very good. The sculpt is very nice on the head. It definitely screams Popeye. You have a lot of wrinkles in there, and I do like that you could see the a little bit of like moisture on the eyes, it looks like. And yeah, that's really cool. It does have a hole in his mouth so you could stick the pipe in there. It doesn't necessarily stand out just like this. You could kind of see it on camera, but when you're just looking at it in person, you don't even notice it, and you're probably gonna have the pipe in there for the most part anyways. But yeah, I think it looks really cool. Look how skinny his neck is. That looks crazy. Then you've got the big old forearms that are sculpted nice. And I really like what they did with his hands. They kind of made his fingernails dirty. They kind of look like working man's hands, you know, so that's cool. And the skin tone is really interesting too. It has that kind of speckled effect that we see on some Mezco figures, but it works perfectly fine for Popeye. One thing that I thought was going to stand out to me as a bad thing was that on the forearms you have like a realistic skin tone, and then same thing on the hands, but then you have these big old ball joints that are just smooth. But in person it really doesn't bug me that much. And I love the way that the sailor shirt looks. You have the buttons down here, but they're just very small pieces of plastic, but they do look nice. You've got the sleeves rolled up that looks really good. You have a anchor tattoo on this side, an anchor tattoo on this side. The jeans look very nice. There's also some little plastic dots like up here, you know, kind of breaks it up a little bit, so that's cool. You've got like the bell bottom effect. And the boots look really cool too. Let's check those out. They are sculpted very nice with a lot of detail. There we go. Yeah, they've got a lot of nice sculpt work going on. Very cool. Then on the back of the uniform here, you have like the little red flap that looks cool. And both of the head sculpts are very well done. They're pretty similar though. The only difference is that the mouth is open a little bit more on this one, but for the most part they look exactly the same. Well, I guess the mouth is all the way different here, and his face isn't as scrunched up on this one as it is over here, so I guess there's a difference in the two, but it's just very hard to tell. They're pretty similar to each other. But yeah, the look of this figure is really awesome. I really didn't expect to be into it as much as I am, but yeah, it's a very unique take on Popeye. One thing about this figure that I'm a little confused about is I'm not sure if his shirt is supposed to be able to come off. You could definitely get it off with some work, and the way that I did it was I pulled the arms off. Let's see if I can do it here on camera. I pulled the arms off, which they come out really simple, really easy, so it feels like they were supposed to come off. I didn't really have to force it or anything. Same thing over here. So I pulled the arms off. You're able to lift his arms up like that, and then just cut. Oh, you also want to take the head off. And then you could kind of just, you have to work at it, but you could wiggle it back and forth until it comes off. And the reason why I'm kind of confused as to whether or not this should come off is this wasn't that easy to do, especially the first time. After a few times it kind of works out pretty good, but it makes it, seeing this body like this and the detail and the muscles makes me feel like they wanted you to be able to take the shirt off. But if they did, why not like make it Velcro or something? They could have done a little piece of Velcro right here or on the side or something like that, And yeah, see, so check this out. There's a tattoo on the back. Like, why else would they have that unless they wanted you to be able to take the shirt off? But I do wish that they made it a little bit easier. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. And he does look super cool without a shirt. He looks like he's a crazy like bare knuckle boxer or something, you know. Let's take a look at him like that. So that is really cool too. But yeah, so it's kind of strange, you know. I like the fact that the shirt could come off. I don't like that it takes so much work, but you know, it's not impossible. It's fine. And this figure does come with a lot of nice accessories. Like most Mezco figures, he comes with multiple sets of hands, including a pair of fists. He has a set of open hands. He has one single pointer finger for his right side, and then he has a set of gripping hands that could be used to hold on to some of his accessories, including his spinach cans and his spyglass. He comes with 6 pipes, but it's basically just 2 styles. There's one with smoke coming out of it and one without smoke coming out of it. He does come with 2 different heads. Both the heads are very similar. The only real difference I could see is that one has some teeth slightly showing, and then there's just a little bit of a different facial expression. And then he comes with 3 different styles of hats. First off, he has a sailor hat, and then he has like a beanie, and then he has this kind of hat. I'm not necessarily sure what it's called, but it does look nice. And then he comes with a pea coat. And then he has this awesome duffel bag that says Popeye on the side. And in typical Mezco fashion, they did a lot of really cool things with all the different accessories. Of course, they're all very well done. All the sculpting work is nice, the details. First off, we have the can of spinach here that looks like an actual can of spinach, and that is nice. And then you have the other can of spinach that is kind of busting open, and there's perfect indentations that you could fit his fingers into, and there's a lot of nice sculpting details on there. And then you have his spyglass that looks really cool too. For the most part, it's just gold, but there is a lens on that side, and also like a lens type of effect on this side. And then this is really cool right here. His compass has really nice details too. It's kind of hard to see in there, but it actually closes. Look at that. That is pretty cool. And it looks like an actual, oh, look at that. You have the anchor on there. Dang, I didn't really even notice that at first, but that looks nice. You got some nice details in there. And then you have the duffel bag that actually closes. So that's pretty nice. You could put all of his accessories in there if you want. And now let's get into some of the really cool stuff that they did here. Like the hats. The hats are awesome. Check them out. They have a magnet there. They could just go right on like that. That is so cool, because then you could switch up the position of the hat. You don't have to like dedicate it to a certain position on his head. So that is very nice. And this one has a magnet, and then so does this one. And this is probably my favorite hat out of all 3. And the beanie does not have a magnet, but it just clips onto his head, so you don't really have to worry about it falling off. And then the way they did the pipe was really cool too. As you could see right there in his mouth, there's a small little tiny hole, and all you have to do is just push the end of the pipe in there, but you want to be very careful. You don't want to push it like at a weird angle and snap that pipe, because that would suck. But that's probably the reason why they gave you so many of the same type of pipe, because maybe they figured these things will break, but I really hope not. It does feel pretty sturdy, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I would be worried if it fell down that it would break, but man, that is really cool, and I like the way they did that. And yeah, this and the hat thing is really cool. I love the way that both of these things were executed. And then of course he comes with the Mezco stand that has the peg and the posing arm, and this is pretty cool. It's blue and it has the anchor there in the center, as you could see. And as far as scale goes, I was really surprised at how small this figure is. I'm not really sure how tall Popeye should be, but it kind of makes sense to me that he's a short little tough guy, you know? But I was really surprised at how small he is compared to other Mezco figures. So for some size comparisons, here he is next to the Mezco 112 Collective Ronin Wolverine and the Mezco 112 Collective Batman Beyond. And then now here we have Popeye next to the Figure Arts Civil War Ant-Man and the Figma Captain America. And then now here he is next to the Marvel Legends Bucky Cap and Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man. And then next up we have the Figure Arts Leonardo, and then this random figure I thought would be cool to compare him to, which is the Shocker Toys Dick Tracy. And last but not least, we have Popeye hanging out with the Disney Toy Box Yoda and the Figure Arts Infinity War Hulk. So the articulation on Popeye is pretty good. It's basically the standard Mezco setup, and I think that works perfectly fine for him. So his head is able to move side to side. And you have movement where the head meets the neck and where the neck meets the torso. So you could get his head almost all the way to one end. Get a lot of nice movement out of that. You could get his head to look all the way down to about there. You could get him to look up to there. So it's really nice movement in the head and the neck area. For the torso, you have the standard Mezco situation where it's a mid-torso cut and then a cut at the waist. And using both of them, you get some really nice crunch. As you could see there, it's really cool to see that Mezco's really improved on the torso joints on their figures. The last couple of figures have had really nice torso bend. And then you could go to the side with these two joints using them. You could twist a little bit, but not as much, because his body's kind of flat and it kind of makes it awkward when you're trying to twist it, but you could definitely get enough, you know, so that's cool. For the arm, it's the peg stuck into the torso kind of situation. It's not like a regular ball jointed shoulder, but it does work perfectly fine. You could get his hands over his head, and then you could bring them back the same amount, and his clothes fit loose so they don't hinder the articulation too much. And then you could bring his arms out to the side. As I mentioned, no upper bicep swivel. And then you have single jointed elbows, and then you have a swivel at the elbow. For the hand, you have a swivel and a hinge. For his legs, you could get them to come out to the side to about there. You could get them to kick forward to there. Kick back to about there. You have double jointed knees. And then you have a, let's see what we have going on at the boot. You have a swivel at the foot, and you also have like a swivel at the actual boot. So that's nice. And these boots are, his feet are actually pretty good. You just got to work them a little bit, but they've got a little bit of rocking to them. You could bring them, actually, yeah, you got to work it a lot actually. You could bring it down to about there, bring it up to there. So the boots don't move that much, but they're decent, and it's not like you'll have a problem standing them up or anything. The boots are fine, but you just don't get a rocking ankle like you would on some other figures, but it's okay. So overall, I like this figure a lot. I think that Mezco did a really nice job. They did something very unique and interesting. I love all the accessories that he comes with. This is a very fun figure to pose and play with. He looks crazy, which I like a lot, and I think this figure was a big risk for Mezco because, you know, everybody knows who Popeye is. Everybody like had Popeye in their childhood to some degree, you know, but it's not something I don't think a lot of people were asking for. It's not something like Spider-Man or Batman or something that's guaranteed to sell. I think this is something that maybe someone over there has some passion for, and they put it out there hoping that people would like it. And I think that it's a really good figure, and I think that people are going to be into it. And this is one of those figures that I think a lot of people that really probably don't even care about Popeye are going to want to pick this guy up, as well as people that are big fans of him. So, you know, it turned out to be a good thing, and hopefully this figure goes good for them, because that would kind of entice them to do some more really interesting, weird, unique things. What are some other old school characters that would be cool in this style? I couldn't think of any off the head, but, you know, I'd be down for whatever ones look cool and interesting and are as much fun as this Popeye figure. So hopefully Mezco keeps doing that. But so I think that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this review. Huge shout out to Sculptomotoys for sending this figure out to me so fast. I think I ordered it like two days ago or something, and they're all the way on the other side of the country, and I already have it in my hand. So that is awesome. Thanks a lot, guys. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and thank you very much. Peace.